In truth, a lot of vet teachers who feel their resources aren't adequate know they're not adequate. They know from the way the students interact with the resources that they're not working, or not working as well as they like, or they're not as clear. A lot of them tend to be very text dense, highly technical, have missteps of explanation, don't have clear enough instructions, they're not necessarily ordered logically. They have, in some cases, they have irrelevant or unnecessary components to them. So a literacy person would sit down and say, why do they need to read that, or why do they need to know that? And the person might think, oh, well, they actually don't.
Teachers could get support from people like us around their handouts, around their online materials and how they're organised. There's quite a skill to developing a resource that's simple yet contains all the technical information needed for a student. You know, there's a consistency of language and consistency of grammar. There's staging your writing so that it doesn't overwhelm students.
You'd have to determine the ACSF level, I guess, of the unit of competency, and then go back and look at the resource and ask yourself, is it, you know, above this? Is it asking students, are the questions, you know, pitched at too high a level? And, you know, and also just, you know, good design guidelines, you know, are there, you know, ample pictures for the students, visuals? Are there headings, subheadings? Is it easy to navigate the textbook? This applies, I think, to all levels, though, really. It should be there for, you know, whether you're at a pre-level 1 or up to an ACSF level 5.
One of the exercises that I found really valuable was getting groups of vet teachers to flick through magazines, ordinary everyday magazines, and asking them to stop at a page that grabbed their attention. That exercise gets teachers to think about the use of white space, it gets teachers to think about the use of visuals, it gets teachers to think about the use of graphics and how, in fact, an eye-catching layout might be designed.
I'll give you an example in beauty therapy. So there were some notes that were put together by the Curriculum Centre. There were PowerPoints that were put together by the vocational section themselves. And there was a workbook that was put together by a different TAFE college. And within the 3 of those, they referred to the different types of hair in different ways. So in some of them they were primary, secondary, tertiary. In some of them they were lanugo, vellus and something else. And in all 3 of them, none of them matched. So with that kind of environment, the students are just totally confused. In the assessment, it asked it in a completely different way. So I then sat down with them and said, you just got to choose one way of teaching it, yeah? Choose one set of terminology and change it in all 3 so that they match, yeah? And when you're asking the question, be really clear about which one you're asking about. So it's those kinds of things, and very often for them, the vocational teachers are so familiar with the terminology that they're interchangeable, and they cannot understand what it would be like for a student to actually come in and come across that terminology for the first time.